Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please hit the subscribe. Now this start video. NBC has officially released the synopsis for the highly anticipated One Chicago crossover event, which will bring together the beloved characters from Chicago Fire, Chicago Med, and Chicago PD in an epic 3-hour event. Scheduled for Wednesday, January 29. This crossover promises intense action, emotional moments, and thrilling storylines that will keep fans at the edge of their seats. Here's a breakdown of what to expect during the special event, including spoilers for each of the episodes. The crossover event will begin with Chicago Fire, which will air at 8/7s, moving into its usual time slot previously occupied by Chicago Med. The reason for this shift is to allow Chicago Fire to start the night with a gripping call that will set the stage for the events to unfold in the subsequent episodes. Following the Chicago Fire, Chicago Med will take over the 9/8 slot, continuing the high-stakes drama by addressing the fallout from the events of the Chicago Fire. The night will conclude with Chicago PD, airing at its regular 10/9 time slot. Each of the episodes will tie into one another, creating a seamless narrative as the three departments, firefighters, medical personnel, and police officers, come together to tackle a disaster that threatens the very fabric of their city. As we dive into the synopsis for each of the three parts of the crossover event, be warned, spoilers lie ahead. The first installment of the crossover event will air as part of Chicago Fire's regular programming, kicking off the dramatic evening. The episode is titled In the Trenches, Part I, and its plot will immediately draw viewers into the chaos and urgency that will set the tone for the entire night. Chicago's first responders unite in the wake of a catastrophic gas explosion and fire that threaten a city government building. Herman reluctantly shadows Pascal while Violet, Novak, and Dr. Frost take charge of triage efforts on site. In this episode, a catastrophic gas explosion sends shockwaves through the city, leading to a dangerous fire that threatens not only the surrounding area, but also the safety of a city government building. With first responders from all three departments coming together to tackle the situation, the stakes couldn't be higher. As always, Chicago Fire will put the spotlight on the heroic actions of the firefighters, as well as the emotional toll that such large-scale disasters take on those who risk their lives to help others. Herman, typically a supportive figure in the firehouse, is tasked with shadowing Pascal, a new character with whom he will likely develop an interesting dynamic. Meanwhile, Violet, Novak, and Dr. Frost will step up to take control of triage efforts, all while dealing with the intense pressure of the situation. This opening episode will establish the groundwork for the two following episodes, setting in motion the tragedy and heroism that will unfold in Chicago Med and Chicago PD. The second episode of the crossover event will focus on the immediate medical response to the aftermath of the gas explosion and the collapse of a subway tunnel. As Chicago Med takes over the 9/8 time slot, the hospital staff will work tirelessly to save lives, all while grappling with the physical and emotional strain of the disaster. Following the subway tunnel collapse, Heartsickness and Kid treat injured passengers and track down the missing offender. Archer and Frost perform a life-saving amputation. Lennox feels the weight of the CPD's hopes as she fights to save one of their own. The chaos continues as the fallout from the explosion and fire spills over into the hospital. Several injured victims are brought in, some with life-threatening injuries that require quick thinking and immediate medical attention. Chicago Med fans can expect heart-pounding medical procedures, especially when Dr. Archer and Dr. Frost are faced with the need to perform a life-saving amputation on one of the victims. As the hospital grapples with overwhelming trauma cases, the emotional weight of the situation will hit home, particularly for Lennox, who feels the burden of responsibility as she fights to save the life of one of the police officers. With the threat of more casualties and the uncertainty of the ongoing investigation, Lennox's efforts will highlight the delicate balance between hope and despair in the face of tragedy. Additionally, Heartsickness and Kid will be working to track down a missing offender, leading to more tension and action-packed moments as they piece together the mystery behind the subway tunnel collapse. The lines between the medical and law enforcement worlds blur as the team races to save lives while searching for answers. The final episode of the crossover event will air as part of Chicago PD, bringing everything to a head in the final explosive chapter of the night. Chicago PD fans can expect a thrilling conclusion as the investigation into the assailants responsible for the explosion and subway collapse intensifies. With the suspects still at large and conditions worsening underground, first responders race against the clock to reach the trapped victims, while the investigation into the assailants comes into focus. As the situation continues to deteriorate underground, the first responders must work together to reach the victims trapped in the collapsed subway tunnel. With each passing moment, the danger increases and the race against time becomes even more critical. Meanwhile, the investigation into the criminals behind the attacks will take center stage as the police force digs deeper into the motivations and identities of the assailants. As the pieces of the puzzle begin to fall into place, the tension will reach its peak, leading to a thrilling showdown. The emotional stakes will be high for all of the characters involved, and the episode promises to deliver heart-stopping moments as the characters face the physical and emotional repercussions of the events that have unfolded. The crossover's culmination in Chicago PD will tie together the heroic efforts of the fire and medical teams with the determined pursuit of justice by the police. This year's One Chicago crossover event promises to be one of the most ambitious and thrilling yet, with all three shows intersecting in a way that allows fans to experience the intense teamwork and camaraderie between the departments. The event will highlight the extraordinary efforts of the first responders and medical staff who risk everything to save lives in the face of overwhelming odds. As the city of Chicago is rocked by a catastrophic event, viewers will be taken on an emotional roller coaster, experiencing both the triumphs and the tragedies that come with disaster response. The crossover will also deepen the character development, with some unexpected moments of vulnerability and bravery that will leave viewers reflecting long after the credits roll. In addition to the excitement surrounding the crossover event, there has been plenty of buzz in the One Chicago universe recently. For instance, Chicago PD fans learned that actress Marina Squarciati, who plays Detective Kim Burgess, recently welcomed a secret baby into her family. Squarciati had to miss 2 episodes of Chicago PD to give birth, but she has since returned to the series. Moreover, Chicago Fire fans have been curious about the fate of Joe Cruz, played by Joe Minoso. Minoso has provided behind-the-scenes insights into Cruz's future, fueling speculation about what's to come for the character. With so many storylines unfolding across the franchise, viewers are eagerly awaiting more news and teasers about what the future holds for their favorite characters. Don't miss out on the action. The One Chicago crossover event will air on NBC on January 29, with Chicago Fire kicking off the night at 8/7C, followed by Chicago Med at 9/8T, and Chicago PD rounding out the evening at 10/9C. For those who can't watch live, previous episodes of Chicago Fire, Chicago Med, and Chicago PD are available for streaming on Peacock, so you can catch up on all the latest developments before the big event. As the One Chicago franchise continues to captivate audiences, this crossover event will undoubtedly highlight the best of each series. Viewers can look forward to deepened relationships between characters, gripping medical and action-packed sequences, and plenty of unexpected twists. Whether it's the heroic firehouse response in Chicago Fire, the life-saving actions in Chicago Med, or the intense investigations in Chicago PD, the crossover will showcase the teamwork and resilience that make the One Chicago universe so compelling. Be sure to set your reminders for January 29, as this special event promises to be an unforgettable night of drama and excitement. The upcoming One Chicago crossover event is set to be a must-watch, filled with suspense, heart, and adrenaline-pumping action. Fans of Chicago Fire, Chicago Med, and Chicago PD will not want to miss this thrilling 3-hour spectacle. Be sure to tune in on January 29 to witness the heroic efforts of Chicago's first responders as they work together to overcome a devastating disaster.